What an episode. It's like a kaiju movie mixed with a horror movie. It's like fantastic. You see a woman in the shadows appear. It wasn't the ending I expected. Before we kick into things, there is obviously the spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the finale of Bad Batch Season 3, go and watch it. Highly recommend it, but we will be jumping into it and there will be spoilers. So you have been warned. There is fair warning. Where do we start? Season 3 of the Bad Batch has been good. I love Season 1. I love Season 2. And then it's the end of an era in a way. Well, it is the end of an era. It's very sad, actually. I've loved the animated series since the Clone Wars. I actually really enjoyed Rebels. I know it's a bit more divisive, but I did very much enjoy it. But Bad Batch, for me, has been a breath of fresh air. It's been a fantastic show. And I'd even go as far as saying, as a whole, it's better than Clone Wars. Like, Clone Wars Season 7 is amazing, and it has arcs throughout it that are some of the best Star Wars, but there are some low points in it at the start of Season 7. Whereas Bad Batch, I feel like, it's been consistently good from, like, the start to the finish. It's just been, I've loved the characters ever since they were introduced in the Clone Wars. I love the story, how it's unraveled, where it's gone. It's just been an amazing series, and it is a shame it's come to the end, but as we'll get into in a second, this wasn't the ending I was expecting, but I'm not disappointed. It kind of caught me out of left field, if I'm being honest. I wasn't expecting this ending, but I'm not complaining. But we'll just do like a quicker recap, and I'll try and go through events in like a chronological order and reflect on them and like how each thing unfolded, my reaction at the time. So, like, we kick off and we're back in the jungle, and it's like, you know, we kick off from where we were left off last episode, where our heroes are, like, back against the corner, but, you know, we've been in this position before. It's fine. It's Star Wars. What could possibly go wrong? But, like, you know, Crosshair's hand is acting up again. They're cornered in the jungle. They don't know how they're going to get out of this. Wrecker is very badly injured, and I thought this was going to be, like, a precursor, and this was going to be, like, his, you know, this is the beginning of the end. Like, it is the finale. And they're basically just like, we're going to go and save Omega, but this is like the final mission. Like, we've got one plan, and that's complete the mission. We're going in, but we ain't coming back out. But we are going to complete the mission. It's like a fool's errand. Like, they accept that they're going to be a martyr, like a Plan 99. And there's some, like, deliberation between them, but they eventually agree to all go in there, and yeah, they essentially storm the fortress, the stronghold, and then it's like a back and forth between all the different like storylines interweaving and coming to a head, and then you like flash back to Omega, and she's with kids and she's helping them escape. They do some like elaborate like thing with the droid, and they manage to get a timing and escape, and they get to the Zillo Beast, which again, I love that they tied that back in, and it'd be interesting to see where that goes in terms of going forward. But it goes from this like super like thriller like suspense for what's gonna happen, and it just like completely changes the tone when they release this Zillo Beast, and it's like a kaiju movie mixed with a horror movie. It's like fantastic. There's like the camera, like the music changes, the lighting darkens, this beast is awoken, it's got all the power, it's just throwing stormtroopers all over the gaff. It's fucking amazing. It's just a spectacle. And it's like this dark, eerie, like monster kaiju movie where it's just unbeatable. It's indestructible. It's just causing utter chaos, and it is amazing. Then you like cross back to the Bad Batch. They've stormed, and then like the operatives come out and they've cornered them. You see Crosshair's nemesis, and it's like a final stand in a way. Like, they're cornered, and like we've been in this position many a times, and the Bad Batch have always managed to find a way out. But like this one had a different feel to it. It had a feeling of like an inevitable ending. Like, their time had finally ran out, and you couldn't, from my perspective, I couldn't see a way they were going to get out of this. But we'll get to that. And then you like flip back, and there's Echoes finds Omega and the kids with Emery, who's now like helping the kids escape. And they managed to get them. Back to the shuttle and help them get away. But while this is happening, the Bad Batch of essentially Crosshair, Wrecker, and Hunter have run out of time, and they've like they've put up a final stand, but they were just outnumbered and outgunned, and they get captured, and it's like left on this like almost like a cliffhanger where they're knocked out and they're down, and then it just cuts with like Crosshair getting hit with this like gyro blade, and you don't know if his hand's gone or what, and you think that's the end, they're dead. Like they've like Omega's escaped, but they're dead. But then Omega and Echo go back in to save them because they see them getting wheeled away as they're saving the kids. This is the end. This is the Bad Batch going out in style. They had one thing. They're going to destroy all the records. They're going to free the clones. This is the finale. This is it. So they go back in and they can't find them, but they free the rest of the clones. They free Nala Se and they free Rampart, who is not too pleased. He's like, this is the opportunity. Like, why are we still going back? And then Echo does we don't leave our brothers behind. And they all like hoorah and rally, and they go to like save the rest of them. Hunter, Echo, Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair, who's been captured. And it's like, oh, this is the final thing. They're gonna break them out. So, and while they're doing this, Nala says like, I have my own destiny and my own task to do. I must stop Project Necromancer. And that's like a cool like side thing where she's like, I will not allow my research to fall into the Empire's hands. It must stop here. So she goes off, and then Rampart like secretly follows her along. So while the clones are off going to save the rest of the Bad Batch, he goes into the research facility with a detonator, thermal detonator, and Rampart sneaks up behind her and basically holds her hostage. And he's like, what does the Emperor want? Was Project Necromancer and Omega, like, why is it so important? And she tells him, and he's like, I'm going to use this to like as a bargaining chip for my freedom and for promotion. And she's just like, that's not happening. And she just detonates the thermal detonator, and it blows the research lab up. It blows all the research, all the notes, everything is gone. And it's like it's a martyr story, but that's like, that side of the story is all tied up, and that line comes to an end. But it's a fitting ending, I guess, is the way that she goes out. She goes out on principles, which, you know, it is what it is. So the clones, Echo and Omega, get to the Bad Batch, and they're being tortured, and essentially Hemlock's trying to turn them into the operatives, which, you know, the Bad Batch's operatives is like a scary thing to even like fathom, like how good and like efficient and like they would be. But as he's torturing them, Hunter's still giving some like, you know, some smart ass comments, and Omega finds them and she sneaks in, and she's like in the process of releasing them, and as the clones like charge in and create a diversion, and then she gets captured and she gets noticed and she gets tied down, and all the clones, and it turns out it's a trap, and Hemlock's like one step ahead of them, like he's playing 4D chess and they're playing checkers, and the operatives like kill most of the clones, and the rest of them collapse. Only Echo's standing, and this looks like the end. I thought this was going to be the end, and the entire facility was going to get blown up, and that would be the end of it, and everything gets destroyed, and they die, but they die as martyrs, freeing it. But no, it doesn't happen like that. It looks like they've ran out of time, essentially, but Omega just freed Wrecker, and he wakes up, and he goes berserker mode. He just throws shit. He kills like 3 of the operatives. He just like crushes them. The others escape. There's like a few near miss moments where it looks like the operatives have got the upper hand, and then like Crosshair jumps in or Hunter jumps in, and then Hemlock grabs Omega and runs off, and the rest of the clones that are surviving with Echo like fight off the operatives. And then we get outside, and Hemlock's like trying to run away, and it looks like he's about to grab Omega, and they're gonna go. And Crosshair takes the shot and takes down the vessel, and then it's this standoff in the rain on this bridge. It's dark, and it's this tense moment where he's handcuffed to Omega, and he's like, you won't risk her. And then she's like, but you need me alive as well. And it's this tense moment, and then she does the hand signals, and they go through the plan, and they complete the mission. It's just everything that's running through your head is like, this is it. They're completing the mission. So they basically, Crosshair, even though his hand's a bit shaky, and he's obviously been chopped off, they take the shot, and he does it. She manages to unpick the thing, and Hemlock is blasted and falls to his death. And then it's this like lovely, like not heart-wrenching, it's this lovely, like quite nice moment where she runs over to them and she braces them, and I found it quite it was quite nice that she embraces Crosshair before she embraces Hunter. I mean, she embraces them both, but it is a lovely moment. But and you think, you know, they've escaped, and then what? So they manage to get the other clones, and they get out of there. And then just as they, plot timing and all that, just as they manage to make their escape, Tarkin shows up in his Star Destroyers, and they basically do a summary of the damage, and, you know, the Zilla Beast is off in the wild, escape, that's gone, all the data and research has been blown up, the facility is destroyed, Omega's gone, and he's like, this is, you know, he's had it out for Hemlock since the beginning, and he's like, yeah, shut this place down, cancel it all, and redirect and redistribute all the funds into Project Stardust, like Galen or something, like linking into Rogue One and the originals. And it's like, yeah, Project Stardust is back. Do like the little callbacks and like the shout outs and the world building in terms of like weaving it into everything. I don't know, I just do like that. So the clones escape and they go back, the Bad Batch and the clones, and they go to Pabu, the survivors, and it's like, you know, they were like sitting and like, this is it. They've finally done it. They've completed the mission. They're safe. Nobody's after them anymore. And they're there to just live out the rest of their lives how they see fit. And it's like this lovely like little dialogues at the end, like, you know, and then it fades to black. And you think, that was an unexpected lovely ending. And then we get like a little prologue at the end. You get like this like cinematic of Pabu, and it's like nice. And then as it's like all the lights in the harbour at night and all like fireflies dancing, you see a woman in the shadows appear, and you're like, who is it? And then it turns out it's Omega, but it's her like years later. It's skipped forward in time, and she's like a full-grown woman now, and she's walking to the cave on Pabu where Ventress was and pirates and all that, and the Hidden One. And Hunter sat in the shadows was Batcher. And you're like, oh, and it's like Hunter, and you can definitely tell his age. He's like grey and old and wise. And he's like, oh, you could leave without me noticing. My senses haven't dulled that much. And then we find out that she's actually going to join the rebellion, which is another tie-in. Which, you know, it's nice to see that these like, I'd say side story characters essentially are all fitting into the main overarching story, and it is really good like that. But yeah, we get to see that she's joining the rebellion as a pirate, you know, as a pilot, and she's into it. She's going to fight the Empire one last time. She's still got the fight in her. And then as she gets on the ship and boards after a heartfelt like goodbye to Hunter, she looks and she's got tech goggles, and it's like a nice little moment, and then it ends. And it's, you know, it wasn't the ending I expected, but it was a good ending, and I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that's how they ended it. I did have a few gripes, but overall I'm happy how it ended, and it was a very nice and heartwarming moment at the end. So I think my only issues and only gripes were, although I didn't see the ending coming and I was happy with it, I wish we'd known, like, we'd seen Wolf in it and Rex and Cody. That would have been cool. We wanted to know what they were, if they'd even made an appearance. It would have been nice to know who the operatives were, I guess, as well. Like, we don't really know who they are. Like, they just remain kind of faceless. And then the last one, which is a bit controversial, I would have liked to see Tech come back. I didn't believe he was dead. I was one of them people. I was holding out. I thought he was going to be an operative. He wasn't. I'm kind of glad because they all died. But it would have been nice to see him back and have like a redemption, in my opinion. It's quite a controversial. I wouldn't say controversial. It's divisive is the word. Many people didn't want that. Many people did want that. I thought he was going to be an operative. He was going to come back. They were going to rescue him and like unbrainwash him. But yeah, it wasn't to be. But the rest of the Bad Batch have escaped, and they're happy, and they live on. It's the end of an era, you know? It's the end of the Clone Wars cartoons, in a sense. You know, the Bad Batch was like the last homage, the last flame running the torch. And now that's over, and it's just, yeah, that's the end of the Bad Batch. But overall, like I said, I think it's been one of the better series, if not one of the best animated, at least, series. And it's, yeah, I just hope that Disney can keep punching out content that's to this standard and this level. We'll have to see with the Acolyte and Obi-Wan season 2 and Ahsoka season 2. But yeah, that was my reflections on the Bad Batch season 3, the finale, and just the end of the series and the end of an era is how I leave it. But yeah, do let me know your thoughts if you disagree, if you agree, or whatever.